This woman has been missing for about a month. Los Angeles police tracking her every move. And we've just learned that 30-year-old Hannah Kobayashi was here just 2 weeks ago, walking into Mexico by herself at the San Ysidro port of entry.
Late yesterday, after traveling to the U.S.-Mexico border, we reviewed video surveillance from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which clearly shows Kobayashi crossing the United States border on foot into Mexico.
An investigation that gained national attention brought Los Angeles police all the way to the San Diego border. On Monday, LAPD revealed that a missing woman from Maui recently walked through the San Ysidro port of entry to leave the country.
She was alone with her luggage and appeared unharmed. At this time, Kobayashi's case has been classified as a voluntary missing person.
Her family has been searching for her for about a month.
Your mind goes to abduction, it goes to trafficking, and we're just terrified.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Imagine wanting to disappear, your father dying while searching for you, and then the whole of America looking for you. Basically your picture plastered all over the place, even your social media made available. Meanwhile, the whole of America knows what you look like. So what is the point of wanting to disappear? Did Hannah do it for love? Was it a vendetta against an ex or a family member? If so, is there something they're not telling us about? Could it be a cult? Does Hannah have a screw loose?
To date, the investigation has not uncovered any evidence that Kobayashi is being trafficked or is the victim of foul play. Questions raised surrounding her flight to New York. Our investigation, corroborated by video evidence, clearly shows Hannah at LAX appearing unharmed after arriving from Maui on November 8th of this year. For unknown reasons, she decided not to board her pre-scheduled flight to New York that same day. From November 8th to 11th, video footage and still imagery showed Hannah at various locations around Los Angeles. This information was subsequently verified by LAPD detectives. While she did check her bag through to New York, she requested her bag be sent to her at LAX, where we have surveillance footage of her retrieving it from the baggage carousel on November 11th.
So rather than being abducted or trafficked, it seems like Hannah's been her own abductor in this case, which is something of a surprise. But shouldn't we have seen it coming? And that brings us to the number 2 clue we all missed. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Bear in mind, the next analysis in the Ramsey saga will be following immediately after this video, should be out in a couple of hours. It's on the Steve Thomas resignation letter. You really don't want to miss that. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. Now, most people who miss flights don't sort of go on a tourist binge. They hang out at the airport until they catch their next flight. After all, you don't have your bags, and Hannah didn't have hers. They'd been checked through to New York. She also made a deliberate effort to change that, according to the LAPD.
While she did check her bag through to New York, she requested her bag be sent to her at LAX, where we have surveillance footage of her retrieving it from the baggage carousel on November 11th.
So while Hannah's initial return to LAX suggested an intention to continue her journey to New York, the fact that she collected her bags and then left the airport with her bags and then left LA will suggest otherwise. So what is the number 2 clue we all missed? Well, here it is.
Police have video of her retrieving her bag on November 11th. The next day, police say she took a bus to San Ysidro and crossed the border on foot to Mexico.
She was alone with her luggage and appeared unharmed.
Now, 3 days ago, this post was put on X by Jennifer Coffindaffer. Hannah Kobayashi was seen at the Greyhound bus station at 6:30 a.m. on the 12th of November. No one was with her at this bus station. Now, I actually didn't miss this. You've always got to be a little circumspect about treating information on social media as news. In this case, we had a pretty good source. Coffindaffer tends to post reliable information, but the family saying Hannah was seen is actually the original source, and that might not have been reliable. It may have been wishful thinking on the family's part, or an iffy image that could have been someone else. So what appears to be the case now is that Hannah's family were likely informed of this privileged information by the LAPD, by law enforcement, about Hannah going to the bus station, and they likely elected to keep this private. I mean, law enforcement kept this private, including not telling the media for the last couple of days. And this is the measuring stick I often use to assess data. If it's only on social media, how reliable is it? And then one's also got to look at the type of information that's on social media. Is it sensational? Is it something that tells you exactly what you want to hear? Is there any evidence to support it? So, I mean, if there'd been a photo, that would have been a little bit different. But this is a rare case where it was reliable, where what we heard on social media was accurate. And in the Chris Watts case, I was one of the first people to break the news that Nicole Kessinger was the mistress of Chris Watts. And so that appeared on blogs and social media before it even appeared in the media, let alone in the sort of official police statements. And believe it or not, Nicole Kessinger and the CBI agent that she was communicating with, Kobak, actually posted a link to my blog in their correspondence. That's actually in the discovery. So it can happen. It does happen. And of course, now it is in the media, this whole bus station aspect, and law enforcement have corroborated this as well. Disclosing Hannah's movements was something of a gamble, if you think about it. If she was in danger, it could alert possible perpetrators that authorities were on their tail. Even if she wasn't in danger, it could, in a sense, violate Hannah's privacy, her decision to go missing. If she was going missing in order to evade somebody, someone that she was worried about, well, this information could actually put them, if it was put in the public space, it could actually give them the information that could help track her down, perhaps when she didn't want to be tracked down. Also, given what has happened to her father, she probably should be afforded the space to reflect on what has happened and perhaps find the wherewithal to reach out to her family, which, if you ask me, they've been traumatized enough, haven't they? And I think many of us probably feel the same way. Hannah, please kind of reach out, and your family are worried about you. Still, it feels like Hannah pulled the wool over her own family's eyes in this case, and her family seem to know more than they're telling as well. Why is Hannah's mother, Brandy, so silent? Instead of her mother appealing to find her daughter, we've only really heard from her aunt. And why were Hannah and her father estranged? And what happened that caused her and her boyfriend to break up? And what does he know? And what were those Venmo payments ultimately for? And is Hannah ever going to return home? What is actually going on in her heart and mind? Now, curiously, in the Jay Slater case, the teenager that went missing, that all surrounded a bus. A bus was a crucial fact that arguably led to his demise. If he didn't miss the bus, he'd probably still be with us. In this case, Hannah catching a bus is a crucial fact that shows she's okay, wandering around of her own free will, although this act likely cost her father his life, at least indirectly. One thing I have to admit that I did miss is the California-Mexico link. Hannah got off in California because it's the best access to Mexico from America. The fact that Hannah actually seems to be wanting to flee her own country, not just hang around in California, is interesting. Now, please, I'm not trying to make a political statement here or score a political point. I'm just joining the dots in this case, as I do in every case. And when we do that, sometimes surprising things emerge. And I'm not saying that this is a fact, just that this is a possibility we need to think about. Did Hannah's spiritual awakening have anything to do with the election result? I mean, November 5th was just a week before she disappeared. Is that relevant here? And I often say, why do things happen the way they do? Well, they often have to do with when they happen.
Time. The answer is time.
A lot of Americans have been unhappy with the election result. Incidentally, they've done the same thing, skipped the country, or certainly shown the intention to do that. Just look at this headline from the New York Times. Exhausted by the election, some Americans are recharging by heading to Mexico City. And look at this statistic. As many as 1 in 5 Americans are more likely to move after the election. And a lot of that newfound wanderlust, if that's what it is happening in California. Just look at these headlines. Americans who want out. If this was a criminal case, cell phone records would provide additional context as to Hannah's true state of mind. But I wonder what Hannah would say. But let's come back to what I said in the previous video based on limited information. Who is the key to the why? And so we're going to look at who Hannah really is in our next analysis. Any idea how we begin to do that? Any idea where to start? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.